Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. This was brought up in another video. Forgotten which one. But nonetheless, this is it's an Aliciara, but it's actually got a new name now. It's a Gombrassi Miltona or something or other. It's basically Gomessa, Brassia and Miltonia. And apparently in this particular case that replaces Aliciara, allegedly, and its evening colours are the gloaming, and it's coming off its mount. Now, it's only just on there anyway, literally. Most of the plant is, if you look at it sideways on, most of the plant is not on the mount, and a fair few of the new growths are off of the mount. There's only the two round the back where the roots would go on the mount anyway. So it wouldn't be very secure on the mount anyway. It's been on there quite a long time. That came off very easily. That won't have destroyed the root system. But this is part of the reason. Is this old zombie moss on here is very, very old indeed. Let's get the fishing line out of the way. I'll be trying to treat that as roots. Yeah, so all of this zombie moss I want off. But what I don't want to do is totally destroy the existing root system to do it. So although it will be off camera, I could sit here and tease this off very, very gently and trying to get as much of it off as I can. But if I go and run it under the tap, a lot of it will just fall off. And then we should end up with the old root system, yeah? However good that is. But what we will also have is the new growths with their sheaths coming off, which is where the new roots are starting. Yeah, this is our new root system, and it's starting in many places on the plant. Okay, so that's my main reason for thinking that will sit much, much better in a pot than it would on a mount. On a mount. It's going to sit in a pot nicely. It'll have the old roots dangling down. Every one of those new growths will be sat on the media and will go straight into the media. That's got to be good stuff. So I'll shut down, go and rinse all this old moss off, which was primary goal, is to get that out, the old zombie moss. And then I'll be back. Okay, that cleaned up quite nicely, and taking the sheaths off not only lets the roots escape downwards instead of climbing upwards, but it's also revealed some other things. Things like on this bulb, there's our new growth. It looks like we might have another one. And the same round here, there's our new growth, and it looks like we might have another one. So we may have more new growths than we can actually see at the moment, but obviously it has been disturbed. So, oh, hang on, my cat's upset about something. I shall just go and see what it is. No, he's just being stupid. Obviously the top of the stairs looks totally different to when he saw it an hour ago. Silly thing. Ah, they're getting old. Right, so that's going to sit nicely in a pot. Decision on which pot. Now, large flat one, you can see the extent that the roots are capable of growing, so they'd either be out the bottom or out the sides. So I'll discount that one. Now we could go for a deep pot with an air cone. That would accommodate that plant quite nicely. In fact, that would be quite good. Possible. What about one of these new ones that I got not long ago? Again, it would do nicely in there until all those new growths mature, at which point that pot would be full, which means it will need repotting again. Yeah, so we'll discount that one. But then we have one of my wide flat ones. What about that? See, that's got if you look at the top of the this one is quite a bit bigger than this one. But it's quite a bit shallower, which means it won't have as much media in it, therefore it won't stay wet so long. because that may well have a soggy bottom. Well, possibly in the winter, not this time of year hopefully. So I'm going to go with that one, the wide flat. Didn't need the scissors at all. I haven't cut any roots off. I suppose I ought to do a little trim, although it's a bit superfluous because it won't make a lot of difference to how it grows, let's put it that way. But there are some obvious dead roots in there. But it's not enough to, I could do without doing this, you know, I don't have to do this, quite honestly. Most of these roots are sort of okay. The older tired ones are going to die back. If they don't do it right now, they'll do it soon. So they will go eventually. And by then, they will be surrounded by a whole new set of roots, which will come from all the new growths, which are all around the outside of the plant. Yeah, so all the new roots are going to go straight down the outside of the pot, not down the middle. So anyway, there's a few to, that's a token gesture because it's traditional to trim some old roots off. So we've done some. Right, now, although it's a flat pot, I'm still going to put some crocking in while I've still got some. Find something else instead of this because there's not much left. This is the really huge chunky bark that I can't get again. But it's so hard it will outlast the rest of the media in the pot. So, bearing in mind a lot of the roots will head down to the bottom of the pot, well, providing they grow of course, that's where they end up. And that's not the best place to have media that breaks down. Now I'm seriously thinking about, although I really can't stand the look of it, the polystyrene chunks that Sarah uses at Burnham's to crock are very practical on the grounds they never break down. They'd last as long as the pot does. They are a good idea, it's just that when you use transparent pots you can see them and they look horrible. Whereas Sarah wouldn't be using transparent pots. They would, you know, it's a nursery, they wouldn't be doing that. Right, now, the rest of what's going in here, so I'm getting a bit cluttered here. Lock it up in the corner, out of the way, because we need to get one of these over. So this is live moss, yeah, this is the Welsh moss, and the bark I'm going to use is Burnham's so-called medium bark, which is in fact small bark. So the combination of this will be some air, some living moss to replace the zombie moss that these roots are used to, but the new roots will acclimatise, oh, that's a bit special, there's a coal tit on the nuts. I've only seen a few of those all the time I've been here. They're a lot rarer than the ones that are in the garden day in, day out. Oh, that's nice to see. Look it up. The blue tits and the great tits that are in the garden all the time tend to be quite shouty, loud colours, bright yellows and blues and bold bits of black and white and all that sort of stuff. The coal tit has got subdued colours. It's got no bright colours at all. But it's got a very white patch on the back of its head, top of its neck. That's how you tell it from anything else. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some live moss. Don't want mountains of it, I just want enough to filter through the pot. And I've splashed my glasses, I've got a big blob on my glasses now. To filter through the media, supplying moisture in many places and holding some moisture in the pot a lot longer than it would with just the bark. And being live moss, in theory, even though it's been chopped up, it shouldn't go acidic because it's alive. It's not like the zombie moss that starts off Z. For those of you who are relatively new, then it got its nickname zombie moss because effectively it's New Zealand sphagnum moss that is treated. And it's treated in such a way that it's dead. But every now and again somebody gets a bit on a mount or on the top of a pot that actually comes back to life and starts to grow. Now don't get that confused with algae, because the zombie moss will go green. That's algae. Don't get confused with that. This is genuine starting to grow syndrome, which it does. And I've seen it, so I've witnessed it. Now I'm making a mess here. I didn't bring my tray in because I couldn't be bothered. Because basically this mess will just scoop off the side. So you can see the combination here. The moss, because it's in smaller pieces, is being distributed throughout the whole of the mix. That's probably about right. So we get a handful of that in. And then we'll plonk our plant right in the middle, because all of these new growths are pretty evenly spaced round the plant. And I want the plant fairly close to the top of the pot, but not right up to the top of the pot. And I haven't got anywhere near enough media mixed up, so we'll do some more. Difficult to judge when you're when it's sitting on the side like that. But I know how much I've just used. So I should have a reasonable idea of how much more I need. That's my theory, what I have. But as I say, this using this Welsh moss chopped up, it might be that by chopping it up I've killed it. I doubt it. It's not that neat. It branches all over the place and goes off in all directions. So in theory, you know, if a bit of it is damaged, it would just go on growing. Very sturdy, this moss, very strong. You know, some mosses you touch them and they almost fall apart. This is sturdy stuff. Probably the largest of the mosses in this country anyway. Well, comes from Wales, so it's not in this country. I suspect this moss can be found in England and possibly in Scotland as well. I don't know. Maybe in Ireland. Probably in Ireland, because Ireland is a lot wetter than the rest of the countries. Scotland has similar amounts of wet, but Scotland has cold. That's its speciality. If there's going to be snow around, Scotland will usually get it. And if it's going to rain, well, they say in Wales, if you're in a Welsh valley and you look up to the hills and it's not raining, it will be soon. So if it's not, it will be, otherwise it is. And I lived in Wales for a while and I can sort of vouch for that. They do get more than their fair share of rain. Right, I don't want this jammed in. I'm not mixing concrete here. Yep, that's plenty firm enough. Can I go up a bit higher? Where are my new growths? Yes, I can. There's a new growth dangling there, where the roots would have a little air gap. It's much better if the roots go straight in the media with no air contact. That way they don't get half a chance. If you've got a bulb that's climbed, you know, that's actually risen up above the pot, so to speak, if it's slow growing at that particular point when those new roots come out, the roots get chance to acclimatise to being air roots before they ever get to the pot. And then you can find that under those circumstances, when that delicate little root tip reaches the pot, it goes, I don't like this. This is not what I'm used to. And it can die back. They don't really talk roots, you know what I mean. Well, at least mine don't, anyway. Right, so that's that done. It's an outstanding task that's been outstanding for a long time. Now it's done. So, as I say, we've got a lot of new growths there. Some new root growths straight down in the pot that are good. And this will now get a watering because the bark's obviously dry. And have I got one here? No, I haven't. Get a drip tray for it. And then for now, that'll go somewhere away from the brightest of lights, although the light's pretty even round here. There are still areas where the light is brighter and areas where it's not so bright. So it's funny, I don't mind making a mess here because it just goes in the moss tray. Don't worry about it. Yeah, so we'll give that a good water, we'll get a tag for it. because now it's not on the mount where it has been for I don't know how many years. Next time I water my mounts, I did them this morning, next time I water my mounts I'll think, where the hell's that Aliciara gone? Or Gombrasitonia, I think it was. Anyway, as I said, it was a combination of Gomessa. So a lot of the Oncidiums got moved into Gomessa, that genus. Brassia we all know, that's one that's been around ages, and they haven't messed about with very much, if anything. And then obviously the Miltonias, they haven't been messed about with too much either. But quite a few Oncidiums got moved to elsewhere, quite a few of the elsewheres got moved into Oncidiums, and some had some brand new genera made up brand new to put stuff in. Never ends, does it? Anyway, that's that one done. I think that should grow on quite nicely now. And providing it's happy with the media and happy in its position, I don't see any reason why at least one of those new growths shouldn't bloom. Now, at the moment, those two older leaves on that pseudo bulb, I'm going to trim off. And there's a reason. The new growth is put one leaf up one side of it and one leaf up the other side of it. So the next leaf that comes out of there is going to be squashed. And those old leaves, one's yellow and one is yellowing. So they're not really helping the plant any. So we'll take them off. Like so. And now that new growth has got a free rein to go straight up. So that's the idea of that. So there we go, one job done. And as I say, hopefully that will grow on. Now that's a project plant, so obviously there'll be reference to that the next time we get to that. That was the video I was trying to think of. It was the project orchids, wasn't it? Group 1. That's where I looked at it and thought, yeah, you need to come off the mount. Well, it's done now, isn't it? See you next time. Thanks for dropping by. Well, I'll add on the end for those who are interested, which isn't everybody obviously. I've been in contact with the conveyancer today regarding the house, and it looks like we definitely are completing tomorrow. So once that's actually done and the keys are handed over, then all the finances will be sorted out. People who are due fees, like the estate agents, the conveyancers, any disbursements or anything will be deducted from the house price, and what's left will be dumped in my account, and then the family can gather together and distribute it accordingly. And then I'm going to get a cardboard box and throw every bit of paperwork to do with this whole thing in that cardboard box and hide it under the bed. And I don't want to see it again. I've had enough. See you next time. Bye for now.